Good evening, everyone. Hello, and welcome to the 2023 Impact Beyond Life service honoring 38 silent teachers this year. I'm Amanda Middlestat, so I'm the director of the Willed Body program. To my families, most of you have probably spoken to me on the phone, so here I am in the flesh. And this is kind of a way for me to say, here I am, so that way after this service, you can certainly find me and we can chat. But really, this service is about you. It's about your loved ones and their gifts that they gave our students. So our 38 silent teachers gifted their bodies to our lovely Willed Body program. And from that, they became silent teachers. And through their journey here, you're going to hear amazing stories of what they taught our students and how they impacted their lives. I could stand up here all day and tell you the stories, but I want you to hear it firsthand from our students and from our faculty, because that's the meaning that's really behind this. As always, if you can please silence your phones or put them on vibrate, students, families are already there. I know I had to silence mine as well. That way we can go ahead and just have some really good moments for our service. So welcome and thank you for coming today.
Good evening. I'm Mike Bryant. I am the Anatomy Lab and the Donor Care Center Manager. If we could please let us pray. Dearest Lord Jesus, we gather here this evening with humble and contrite hearts, not only to grieve the loss of a loved one, but to also give thanks to you for their lives among us. Lord, we ask that you comfort us all at this day as we come together to share love and sweet memories with one another. We also give our utmost thanks to those silent teachers whose selfless act of giving one's mortal bodies to the care of our students to learn, grow, and grasp an understanding of dignity and respect that will follow them in all of their days. Gracious Father, thank you also for giving the instructors and the staff of High Point University and the Congdon School of Health Sciences the means, the wisdom, and the knowledge to build a foundation of learning. We ask, O Lord, that you give comfort and peace to the families of our silent teachers as they walk a path of sadness to joy. Loving Father, may you grant eternal rest to them, all of our silent teachers, and, O Lord, let perpetual light shine upon them. May their souls and all the souls of the faithfully departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace. Thank you. Amen.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Desi Reagans, and I am a first-year PA student here at High Point University. I have also had the honor and privilege to work with our silent teachers and on behalf of the students of the Congdon School of Health Science, we want to deeply thank you and show our appreciation for allowing your family members to serve as our silent teachers. So the main theme of our ceremony is shown here by this photo created by one of our students named Lauren Valley. We took this and we wanted to make sure that this symbolized something that we can be appreciative for when showing our service, the silence teacher service, and how they affected our education. So for our symbolization, the boat symbolized your loved one, transitioning from one shore to another, where their journey ultimately did not end. It only begun for educational purposes. The lighthouse symbolized the light beaming towards out was our education, in which our silent teachers aided with their dedication by expanding our knowledge. And the seashells up here in the front are a symbolism of every student that had the honor to interact with our silent teachers. With that, we will go ahead and begin with our first student reflection. I'm going to call up Josie Clayton and Olivia Kider.
My name is Olivia Kider, and I'm Josie Clayton, and we, along with our other classmates in the Physician Assistant Program, have been lucky enough to have been taught by truly remarkable and generous people. Today, we are reminded of the profound significance of this experience in learning through our silent teachers. We would like to express our deepest gratitude to the individuals who, in their selfless act, have become our greatest teachers. Your loved one's decision to donate their body for the advancement of our medical education is nothing short of heroic. Today, we honor not just their body, but the people who, in their passing, continue to contribute to the betterment of humanity. Our silent teachers have been a very powerful learning tool in learning anatomy for us as future healthcare providers. We have all come to understand the intricacies of the human body through our silent teachers. Engaging with these intricacies of the human anatomy has fostered a deeper appreciation for life and the complexity of the human body. Beyond the scientific knowledge that we have gained, we have also learned a lot about humility and empathy. Our silent teachers were once a vessel for hopes, dreams, experiences, and stories. And we have learned not just about the anatomy, but also the humanity encapsulated within each and every one. Your loved ones brought us together, working in the pursuit of knowledge. Working with our silent teachers has instilled in us a deep respect for life. They became our guide, urging us to approach future patients with the same reverence and compassion. Our time with our teachers has equipped us with the tools to be lifelong learners, continually seeking to understand the complexities of the human body. We've learned that medicine requires collective effort and collaboration. This will undoubtedly shape our futures as physician assistants. Our teachers have enriched our understanding of life, death, and all things in between. Thank you to the individuals who made this educational experience possible. While our teachers have departed from the material world, they will continue to live on in our hearts and will always be in our thoughts. Their legacy lives on in the knowledge that we carry forward as future healthcare providers. Thank you.
Thank you again, ladies, for that. Next, we will have anatomy teacher, which is also found in your, I'm sorry, I can't remember the name. It's also found in here in the book, is on the first page, and this will be written by Leela Campbell.
Hi, my name is Lila Campbell, and I am a part of the Department of Physical Therapy class of 2026. And this poem is titled Anatomy Teacher by Amy Marie McKillen. When I touched your hands, I touched hands that had felt the chill of 94 winters, fingers that had stretched in the sunlight of as many springs. When I touched your feet, I touched the feet that had walked the path of 9 decades, toes curling and uncurling through the uncertainty of 5 wars. When I touched your arms, I touched arms that had braced you from and embraced the world, a world I know only through historians and faded photographs. When I stared into the shell of your eyes, I saw the scene upon which a million irreplaceable scenes had been played, visions of a world rapidly changing, at once both like and unlike my own. When I held your heart in my hands, in a moment filled with awe and grace, I held a heart whose mysteries I will never know, a heart that gave me the gift of itself. When you invited me to know you, to be a guest in the house that your spirit left, to touch your body more intimately than any lover could, you forever altered my life. My feet, with the knowledge of yours, will walk into the future carrying you with me. My hands, as they reach out to comfort and heal, will do so, never forgetting the delicacy of yours. My eyes, as they sweep across the landscape of my future, will find it in reflections of the world that I saw as yours. My heart, in the rhythm of its beating, will carry with it the stillness and wonder of your heart lying silent in my hands.
Thank you. We will have another student reflection by Brooke Moran.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brooke Moran, and I'm currently a first-year student in the Masters of Athletic Training program here at High Point. I had the honor of working with our silent teacher this past summer, and it is an experience that I will never forget. While athletic trainers cover a variety of conditions, our primary focus is mostly musculoskeletal injuries. Being able to work with our silent teacher and spend time focusing on every muscle, ligament, and nerve within the body was a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I couldn't thank the donor and their family enough. This experience allowed me to grow and expand in my knowledge of the human body, and it'll help me grow as a clinician. I would like to share an experience that my classmates and I had in our last couple of sessions with our silent teacher. After we completed our entire musculoskeletal dissection and moved on to the brain, we all shared a moment where we thought about what we were doing. While we don't know anything about what our silent teacher experienced in their life, we do know that it was one full of amazing accomplishments. We could only imagine what our silent teacher experienced, and we hoped that it was a great one. What we do know is that he lived 94 years, worked as an engineer, and also served in the Air Force. A couple of tears were shed in the lab that day. My silent teacher was my first patient and is the patient that I will remember for the rest of my career as an athletic trainer and for the rest of my life. This was an invaluable experience that not many people get to have. All of the thank yous in the world could not express how grateful I am for my silent teacher and how they gave their life to further my education. Thank you to my silent teacher. Thank you for participating in a selfless act that I will honor forever. There are not enough words to express how honored I am to learn from my silent teacher. I will never forget you, and I will forever be grateful for the experience that you gave me. Thank you.
Alrighty, and now we will have the art reflection. The art piece that is found here can also be found in your programs on the second page by Lauren Dale.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lauren Vale, and I am a student in the Master of Biomedical Sciences program here at High Point University. And I did this painting. It is an oil painting titled The Ripple Effect. And I would like to read the excerpt that I wrote for this painting. It is inspiring that our silent teachers gave such a generous gift that helps many students along their journeys in education and in life. This idea made me think of a sailboat sailing from one destination to another. What seemed to be their final destination was actually the beginning of a new journey as a silent teacher. I am grateful to my silent teacher who gave such a tremendous gift and being able to honor them by expressing my feelings through art. Thank you, and have a good night.
So up next, we will have another student reflection done by Miss London McDaniel.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. For those of whom I've not had the privilege of meeting, my name is London McDaniel, and I'm a first-year student in the physical therapy program here at High Point University. I sincerely appreciate the opportunity to reflect with you tonight on my transformative experience in the anatomy lab this past summer. Before I delve into my journey, I would like to share a bit about my background. Death has not exactly been a facet of life for which I've had a positive relationship. At the age of 14, I lost my stepfather to melanoma.
Watching his struggle and the way it affected my family left a profound impact on me and instilled a fear of death. When I entered the anatomy lab, I had no idea what to expect. As I stood before the unzipped bag containing my first encounter with my silent teacher, my heart raced and my doubts resurfaced. I questioned whether I could endure the summer ahead without dropping out. At that moment, my confidence was far from strong. However, it is incredible how adversity can bring people closer together. As I embarked on this educational journey with my fellow students, we formed bonds that transcended the boundaries of the classroom. Our silent teacher became the catalyst for our growth in not only in understanding anatomy, but in understanding life itself. One of the remarkable aspects of our experience was how my groupmates and I grew closer thanks to our silent teacher. The collaborative nature of studying a human anatomy through the process of anatomical dissections required us to rely on each other's strengths and support one another in moments of uncertainty. Together, we learned the intricacies of the human body, and we learned to lean on each other for strength and encouragement. Our silent teacher, though no longer with us, brought us together in a way that I will cherish forever. We also learned that death is not something that only brings pain. Believe me, I know losing a loved one is very hard. However, when you remember what that person stood for and remember the lessons they taught us, you realize that in a way, they are still with us. Though their ultimate sacrifice of selflessness, our silent teachers have become an enduring part of our journey. They have taught us not just about the science of the body, but also about the beauty of the human spirit. The profound impact of my silent teacher reached far beyond the classroom. In the middle of August, just before the hectic finals season was about to begin, I had the extraordinary privilege of participating in a flag-laying ceremony, honoring those who had served our country and selflessly donated their bodies for our education. My silent teacher happened to be a veteran, and I felt a deep sense of duty to lay the flag across him. During that solemn ceremony, as the moving words of the poem began to fill the air, I couldn't hold back my tears. This man had not only made one of the greatest sacrifices a human can possibly make by serving his country, but had gone a step further by gifting his body to further our learning. I never had the privilege of knowing this person in life, but in death he continued to exemplify selflessness and generosity. This experience deeply reinforced the lessons I had learned in the anatomy lab, reminding me of the importance of serving others and making sacrifices for the betterment of society. Just as our silent teachers selflessly gave themselves, I challenge my fellow classmates as we move forward into this world as future clinicians to keep their memory alive and to be as selfless as they were. We too can leave a lasting impact on the lives we touch. In conclusion, my experience in the anatomy lab has not only taught me about the human body, but has also deepened my understanding of the human spirit. It has shown me the power of selflessness and the enduring influence of those who have come before us. I would like to leave you with a Bible verse from Mark 10:45. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to be served, to give his life as a ransom for many. For it is a powerful reminder that not only did Jesus die for our sins, but that we too are called to love and help others. Thank you.
Now we will have a faculty reflection by Dr. Haley Horbley.
Hi there. I'm Dr. Haley Horbley, and I am one of the anatomists here at High Point. Teacher, donor, giver, friend. No single word can wholly capture the profound role silent teachers play in our lives. As an instructor of anatomy, I'm deeply humbled by the responsibility of facilitating a connection between our students and the donors who have entrusted us with their generous gift. Their choice is not just a gift of physicality, but a testament to the enduring beauty of selflessness. From my vantage point, I'm privileged to bear witness to the many ways in which that selflessness transforms our students, many of whom will only get this experience once in their lifetime. It is often during pivotal moments of transition that students of anatomy and silent teachers first cross paths. As students enter their graduate programs, their futures unfold before them. marking the threshold of their journey toward becoming health professionals. Simultaneously, silent teachers embark on their own transition, departing from the world of the living to become the bridge that connects life and knowledge. In this partnership of silent teachers and eager students, a unique affinity of spirits takes shape, and an extraordinary connection is forged. Throughout the term, silent teachers serve as unparalleled mentors, cultivating in our students fluency in a language that is both ancient and yet simultaneously will unlock their future. Students uncover the physical vestiges of the full and unique lives led by each of our donors, and in exchange, our silent teachers reveal the intricacies of the human form, such as our connection to our brain, the capacity of a human heart, which muscles flex, and those that extend. Beyond these anatomical revelations, our silent teachers lay bare the truths of our shared existence, and their selfless act of donation becomes an invitation for introspection. It is in this vein that I have witnessed our donors act as catalysts for personal growth, mirrors for our depths of compassion, as well as guiding beams of light during times of personal struggle. For many students, this experience awakens and attunes them to the responsibilities they will bear in their future careers. And at the end of the term, when all is said and done, our once students, now future health professionals, carry with them truths that far outweigh the lessons of brain, heart, flex, extend, teacher, donor, giver, friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Horbley. Up next, we will have another student reflection from Rachel Badu.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel Bado, or Badu, whatever. No, it's okay. And I'm a student of the Master's in Biomedical Sciences program. I want to begin by thanking everyone for being here this afternoon and for helping us recognize your loved ones as our silent teachers. There are no words to describe just how surreal and valuable this experience has been, and this opportunity wouldn't have been possible without all of the families and loved ones here today. The opportunity to have hands-on experience with the human body and its beautiful anatomical components has amplified my appreciation for physicians and surgeons, as well as enhanced my own knowledge on the many variations of the human body. Each and every one of your loved ones is special and unique in their own ways, both physically and spiritually, and us students in the lab have seen that with our own eyes. From observing how hernia surgeries have healed within the body, how breast implants are inserted anterior to or posterior to the pectoralis major muscle and why they are placed there, how the complex vasculature weaves its way throughout the body to supply blood to all of our organs, and just how beautifully the body functions to help us move and thrive every day. All of these fascinating experiences will greatly benefit future generations of patients in the healthcare setting. The selfless choice and generous action of donating one's body to science not only allows students to better their knowledge of the anatomy of the human body, but also ensures that that knowledge will not go unrecognized by future generations of patients. I think I can speak for all of the students and faculty in this room when I thank you for sharing your loved ones with us.
Next, we will have a selection of Over the Rainbow and What a Wonderful World. Now we will have some words of comfort from Reverend Dr. Preston Davis.
Thank you, Desi. There is one thing that church and this church service and the Impact Beyond Life service have in common, and that's that no one sits on the front row. And just don't understand. Yeah. There's something else that they have in common too, which is something about both of these. I hope and I pray help us live more wholehearted lives. One of the things we pride ourselves here on at HBU is not only to help students become successful, whatever they do, it's that they become more human. And there's something about the beauty of this kind of gathering where we see that cross-section pretty well. The student who holds and gets to know the anatomy of a human heart really well, but also in doing so, they become more wholehearted from the generosity that you families have provided us here. The only way to do that, and I've shared this some last year, years before when we gathered this, is to find a place where we move beyond our fears that hold us locked up and tight and locked down. I imagine there's some fear from our students as they approach your family member. And I imagine there's fear from y'all, families too, as well, as you made decisions how to make these donations. And also fear even maybe being here tonight. But there's a place beyond that in which we find a more wholehearted, full life. There's a scene from an unremarkable movie, but it's a remarkable scene. It's one of my favorites. It's from a movie called Three Kings. It's an early 90s film, first Gulf War. And there's these three characters played by George Clooney, Ice Cube, Spike Jonze. And they're trying to free Kuwaitis. But they found Saddam Hussein's oil, his gold. And it's like they could be kings, or they could help people into liberation, into safety. And they finally decided, we're going to help these Kuwaitis. And they're going over the plan one more time. And Spike Jonze says, well, let's talk about this. And George Clooney, who is so George Clooney, says, you're scared, aren't you? And Jonze says, maybe. What of it? And Clooney says, as only Clooney can. First, you do the thing you're terrified of, and then you get the courage to do it. And Jonze says, that's stupid. Should be the other way around. And Clooney says, yeah, it's just the way it works. There's a place where we learn to be more wholehearted, more free, more who we're called to be, more God calls us in these places that are just beyond our fears, that hold us tight, hold us bound up. I've shared this story before too, but it's one of my favorites. One of my colleagues here, another clergy member here, was given a sermon in the community. And he got done with the sermon. He's doing what us clergy do. We shake hands endlessly. That's what we do. We shake hands as folks leave. Good sermon, pastor. Go to the hospital. That's your role. Shaking hands with everybody who come through. And a couple stopped him afterwards who lingered a while longer and said, well, we're donors to High Point University. And he said, thank you. And they said, no, we're donors to High Point University. And he said, I said thank you. And I know you don't get it. No, we're donors. And thought, oh goodness, wow, how beautiful, how scary. Would you tell me a little bit about that? Was it a scary decision? And what the husband said at the time, it's lingered with me. He said, we don't have time to think like that anymore. We don't have time to think like that anymore. And he didn't understand at first and said, you're retired. You got tons of time to think. What are you doing? He said, no, we don't have time to think like that anymore. And my colleague got it. I got it. Years are numbered. Months are numbered. Days are numbered. And yet there's a place when we get to that place where we don't have time to think like that anymore. Let the fear get hold of us that you actually get to live. We might learn something about that here in this place. Be more wholehearted. And I can imagine it's the same thing for some of you families. I imagine there was a moment in conversations, discussions about whether to be a part of this program and talking with Amanda or before talking with Amanda, where you had innumerable opportunities to say, you know what, this is not for us. But you didn't. You did it anyway. Maybe you did it scared too. And it's going to make all the difference. Of course, it's going to make these students better clinicians. Of course, it's going to help them understand the anatomy of the human body better. But way beyond that, it teaches them something about how to live wholehearted lives, where we don't let the fears of our lives constrain us anymore and help us live and make us live shallower lives than we were ever intended to. And thank God you did it. One of my favorite social scientists, she says it this way: our ability to live wholehearted lives are directly proportional to our ability to be vulnerable with one another. Our ability to live wholehearted lives are directly proportional to our ability to live vulnerable lives with one another. Is there a more vulnerable moment than moments like these, where grief and joy sidle up alongside one another, and you get to learn how to live more wholehearted lives? I share this at funerals quite often, and it just seems to be so true to me. It's that if joy is the gift of love, grief indeed is the price of love. And yet in our better moments, we know we wouldn't have it any other way. For it means that we got to live wholehearted lives, that we loved well and were loved well in return. And what else were we supposed to do from the beginning? It's a place beyond the fear. And it's a place where we more deeply live into this, like now. One of my favorite sayings is about how we become better as a people, and it's from ancient Greece. It's about that societies flourish when humans plant trees under whose shade they will never sit. Societies flourish when humans plant trees under whose shade they will never sit. I'd say societies flourish when we do indeed do that, but you might take it a step further. And societies flourish when we do not heed the internal and external fears that seem to strangle us all the time and keep us from thinking that something like that might be foolish to plant trees under whose shade we'll never sit. We're better when we find the place beyond those fears. We're more wholehearted when we find the place beyond those fears. We're more who we're called to be when we find those place beyond those fears. Students, I'm grateful for the way that you share life with these families and families. Man, so grateful for the way that you've shared life with us here. Will you pray with me? Gracious God, you're always calling us into places that are beyond our fears, places where we learn how to live more wholehearted lives, places where we learn to be who we were actually called to be from the very beginning. So may a moment like now linger with us even beyond this place, where we step into waters that may seem to be over our heads, where we step into moments that seem maybe too much to bear. But even in those places and beyond them, we find deeper love, deeper wells that nourish us. And in so doing, we nourish one another. And all of it's your grace. We come to you by many names. I pray to you in Christ's name. And all God's people said, amen.
Next up, we will have Victoria Sinapoli. I'm so sorry. With the memories of our silent teachers.
Hello, my name is Victoria Sinopoli, and I'm a first-year physical therapy student. I'm honored to stand here today in front of you all to read the memories of our donors. Sorry, okay.
In memory of Saul. My name is Cindy. I'm Saul's youngest daughter. For the last 3 years of my dad's wonderful life, I had the privilege of taking care of my dad in my home. It was the most rewarding, enjoyable, memorable, loving experience. I do not regret one moment. I was honored to be given that opportunity and treasured each moment. Dad was very appreciative, and a day did not go by that he did not thank me and tell me that he loved me for all I was doing for him. While I have so many fond, loving memories of my dad every day, these are some of my favorite memories. My daddy Saul was a kind, sweet, happy, loving father, husband, grandfather, friend, etc. His big smile would light up a room. I'm so glad I got his smile, along with many other of his fine qualities. He brought joy and happiness to his many friends and families. He enjoyed working with his hands, building, creating, experimenting, fixing, repairing, and just liked keeping busy. He even built a woodworking shop on the side of his home and would spend all non-working hours in there. Needless to say, he was a hard-working man. After he retired, he would spend endless hours in that workshop for most of the day, and when I would visit him in Arizona, I would be right there beside him. He taught me how to use most of his tools. I was afraid of the table saw, but I got pretty good at using the bandsaw, creating little wood projects with his help and guidance. Dad also loved to cook, and I was able to experience and learn from watching him. Now I continue to create his recipes with him in my thoughts. These are some of my wonderful memories. Saul was born in Massachusetts in the 1920s. In the early 1940s, he enlisted in the Navy and was part of World War II's Greatest Generation. In the mid-1970s, Dad moved to Arizona and married my stepmom, Bobby. They had a very special, close relationship for over 50 years, and they were like two peas in a pod. After Dad lost the love of his life in 2019, he was sad, lonely, hurting, lost, and empty. The decision was made to move my 93-year-old dad from his Arizona family to his North Carolina family and move in with me. Dad and I always had a very special, close relationship. We could talk about anything. Our special connection, even though miles apart, was beyond words. We talked most every day, but on many occasions, he or I would pick up the phone, call, and we'd say, "I was just going to call you." And all of our conversations would end by saying, "I love you." However, he would always add, "And don't forget, ABC," which was telling me to always be careful. While my dad was living with me, a few of my most memorable times was his love of being outside in the sunshine every day. He would sit outside for hours, even in the winter, as long as it wasn't raining. He enjoyed meeting my friends and neighbors. He loved children and watching them play. When he was outside, the neighborhood kids would run over to Dad calling, "Papa Saul," and give him big hugs. Then came that big, beautiful smile of his. He also loved his daily walks around the cul-de-sac where we lived, of course with his walker. He would brag about how many times he was able to go around. He was amazing. My neighbors would watch him in awe and envy. They couldn't believe a man at his age being able to have such determination. Dad loved to read, listen to music, and we would play lots of card games and checkers. He enjoyed watching old comedy TV shows like The Honeymooners, Jack Benny, George Burns, and more. But his two favorites were Gilligan's Island and All in the Family. He would laugh so hard, which brought me joy and happiness to hear that belly laugh. How I missed those loud, beautiful, comforting laughs. He also would watch Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune every night and play along with the show trying to guess the answers. He surprised me with how many times he would actually get the correct answer. While Dad loved to cook, he was not able to anymore. He did love to eat and enjoyed good food with a healthy appetite. He enjoyed watching me cook and smelling the aromas. It brought him joy to watch me in the kitchen as I loved to sing and dance around while I cooked. Some of his favorite foods were my homemade soups and casseroles,
ice cream, cookies, peanut butter on anything, bread, saltines, graham crackers, but I think his all-time favorite was plain cheese pizza. He could eat it for breakfast, lunch, dinner, or just a snack. And last but not least, most evenings while watching TV, he would say to me, "Do you mind getting me a little piece of chocolate?" A fun memory I have is when Dad came to live with me, he drank black coffee. As we sat together every morning, he saw I added flavored creamer to my coffee. Then one day, he asked if he could try some in his coffee. Well, that was the end of his black coffee days for Dad. He was hooked from then on. On June 13th, at the ripe old age of 96, my dad passed unexpectedly. It was on the same day as Bobby, his wife's passing 3 years to the day. Coincidence? The last words Dad and I spoke to each other, as we did every night after a good night kiss, was, "I love you." And he would always say, "I love you more." In memory of Lloyd. Lloyd was born in 1930 at his home in Randolph County. He was a graduate of Randleman High School and began working at the Coca-Cola Bottle Company in 1950 until he was drafted to serve in the U.S. Army during the Korean War conflict. If you ever asked Daddy where he learned to do anything, his response would always be, "In the Army." He served as an auto mechanic at Fort Rucker, Alabama, and was honorably discharged in 1954. While serving in the Army, he received the National Defense Service Award. After leaving the Army, he picked right up and where he left off at the Coca-Cola until his retirement at the young age of 55 after 34 years as a service manager. When his retirement began, Lloyd had more time to raise cows and goats and carried them to the mountains in the summer months to graze on their farms in Floyd, Virginia. He and his wife, Mary Ruth, spent a lot of time at their mountain homes and enjoyed meeting and gaining lifelong friends along the way. They also tried their hands at retiring to Cape Coral, Florida, but Lloyd soon realized that wasn't for him. He needed to have his hands busy working on something or helping his children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren any way that he could. Family was so important to him, and he loved each and every one of them and was so proud of their accomplishments. Lloyd was an active member of Center Friends meeting since the late 1950s until his failing health prevented him. Even though he was not physically present for worship, he would always watch the worship service on YouTube every Sunday morning. This was the highlight of his week. We are so thankful for this connection that helped him continue to worship. Over the years, Lloyd enjoyed serving his community through the local Level Cross Civitan Club. He received the Civitan of the Year award for valuable contributions and unselfish service in 1993 and 1998. Also, in 1996, Lloyd received the Mr. Fix-It Award for outstanding ability and service to his community. The NC Quaker Men through Center Friends meeting was so important to him as he loved giving of his time and labor to the many projects over the years. He enjoyed many years of farming, traveling, spending time with his family, and in his garage, piddling as being a part of his community. He was always there to help whoever needed him. Lloyd is survived by his wife of 67 years, Mary Ruth. Children, Lou Ann and her husband Earl, Grace and her husband Tim, Guy and his wife, Dawn and Daryl. 13 grandchildren, 24 great-grandchildren, 4 sisters-in-law, and many nieces and nephews. On June 23rd, Lloyd, at the age of 91, went to his eternal home. In memory of George. Good evening, everyone. I would like to introduce you to my dad, George. He was born very early in the Great Depression to a large, blended family, which seemed to give him a life of resilience and a determination to succeed. He and my mom married at a young age, and after his service in the Air Force, they worked hard to put him through dental school at Indiana University, his beloved alma mater. My parents' marriage didn't work out,
but that didn't deter Dad from arranging several family outings with me and my brothers, often involving a tent or two, and often resulting in a near disaster along the way. Yes, there was a real reason that we teased Dad about having a black cloud following him around. To this day, we love to reminisce and laugh about those memories. I think it's fair to say that the one constant in Dad's life was dentistry. He was extremely meticulous in his practice and was always driven to do his work in the proper way. But he wasn't afraid to change things up and try something new. Whether it was taking a job of Dean of Dental Hygiene at IU Fort Wayne or a dental assignment in Saudi Arabia, which didn't last nearly as long as it was supposed to. His moral compass clashed with the social hierarchy there. Dad was up for any challenge. He even earned a dental license in 3 states to become a relief dentist for affordable dentures. This he did until well into his 70s, when sadly his memory began to fail him. There would be many more years of decline, but through it all, Dad's unique personality and humor shone through to the end. Needless to say, he is deeply loved and missed. Thank you for taking a few minutes to commemorate his life and his final gift. In memory of Kathy. Mom, Mama, Tweety Pie, the no-sayer, we miss her like crazy. We are thankful for the countless memories we made with her, none of which will ever be forgotten. Adapting to life without her has been weird, but she would be proud of us all. In memory of Willie. Willie lived to be 101 years old. She was healthy and active up until 2 weeks before she passed away. Her father died of TB before she was born, and her mother died when Willie was 5 years old. So she grew up at the Methodist Children's in Winston-Salem, along with her 2 sisters and 2 brothers. She worked for the Department of Clinics at Bowman Gray School of Medicine. She was very active at White Plains Methodist Church in Cary, North Carolina, where she lived with her 3rd husband, Willis. They loved playing golf together and visiting family. Donating her body was very important to her, and she would feel blessed that she made a difference to someone's life. In memory of Bob. Most knew him as Bob, some knew him as Conrad, but the most important people in his life knew him as Dad and Pop. He was a family man through and through who loved fishing, watching football and basketball with his son, and he loved his dogs like they were family. He was a salesman by trade and had many business ventures and startups. His expertise provided livelihood and jobs for many people. In his early years, he moved away for a time after coming back to Winston, was about to head out of town again when he took a girl on a date the night before his departure. Needless to say, he never left, and they were married shortly thereafter. Years later, they had their only child, a son, and he became their whole world. He loved spending time with his son and taught him the art of sales and the value of family. He was devoted to his family and would do anything for them. He was always asking how he could help. He had a knack for coming up with fun activities and things to do with his grandkids, who went on many adventures with him. He took them out fishing on his boat, on special ice cream dates to Cold Stone, and was filled with joy in his soul when his baby granddaughter would call out his name with her sweet little voice and want to climb up in his lap for a hug. He only got to spend a short time with his youngest grandson, but was thrilled to learn he was his namesake. His 4 grandchildren will carry his memory with him all of their lives. He was a kind, funny, clever man who impacted many lives. He is missed tremendously every day, but he knew Jesus as his Lord and Savior and has been reunited with his wife in heaven. The rest of his family looks forward to seeing them both again one day. In memory of Lorraine. Lorraine Pepper, our mother, filled our lives with love and lessons, as she showed us to be moved by deep, heartfelt connections. Our mother's love was boundless, as was her resilience. Her comforting presence and support will live on eternally. Her embrace was a safe haven when you needed it most. She was a caring nurturer and provider, and her guidance was a constant source of comfort during life's trials, and her comedic relief was second to none when you needed to smile the most. Her family was important to her as she instilled lessons of empathy, kindness, and embodied the enduring strength of a mother's love. She will eternally live in our hearts, serving as a bittersweet reminder of her wanting the best for us always. Remember the Serenity Prayer. Mom's zest for life was unrivaled. She lived life on her terms and got lost to explore and made spur-of-the-moment choices to capture real, lifelong memories. Her legacy as a mother and teacher is a testament to the profound impact one can have on the lives of others through love and education. Her memory is a constant source of comfort, reminding us to laugh at ourselves on occasion, not be afraid of what's to come, and to always approach life with love. Her shared wisdom, fun-loving antics, and compassion flowed in equal parts from her heart. Although she may no longer walk among us, her memory will forever be a guiding and comforting presence in our lives, serving as a reminder of the beauty of her love and the extent of her reach in her teachable moments. She was also the greatest comedy relief at the most needed times. Our mom, the free spirit, the butterfly on a rose. In memory of Rama. Dr. Rama, born in 1949, embodied the spirit of love and service as mankind is service to God. As the sixth child of his parents in southern India, his early financial challenges did not deter his pursuit of academic excellence. A trailblazer in organic chemistry, he earned multiple degrees, including the groundbreaking PhD, making him the first from South India. His insatiable thirst for knowledge led him to acquire around 14 educational qualifications spanning science, philosophy, business management, and proficiency in languages like Sanskrit, German, and French. In a career spanning 5 decades, he ascended from a humble quality manager at Indian Drugs and Pharmaceutical Limited to the esteemed position of general manager and zonal in charge for quality in Southeast Asia and Africa at SKF. Despite an interruption in England due to familial responsibilities, his commitment to progress remained steadfast. A visionary ahead of his time, Dr. Rama initiated projects in the early 90s, focusing on recycling single-use plastics, power generation from waste, and establishing financial entities. His commitment to supporting a minimum of 100 families underscored his belief in live and let live. Known for his spontaneity and humor, he was a friend to all generations. His ability to offer solutions and instill peace of mind made him a go-to person for any problem. Even in his later years, he refused to retire, founding Cogos Technologies in 2016 at the age of 67, aspiring to make it a unicorn. Though he left this world without realizing his dream for Cogos, his legacy lives on through his wife, Nagmani, and 2 daughters, Lakshmi and Ramya. His dream company is now pursued by his nephew and son-in-law, ensuring his guidance and thoughts continue to shape its journey. Dr. Rama's life remains a testament to the enduring impact of passion, dedication, and the pursuit of meaningful contributions to society. In memory of Peter. Peter was born in 1936, the 4th of 4 boys, in Jamestown, New York. I was his sister, born 7 years later. At 7, Peter drove his dad's dump truck across the street to the gas station, and from there it rolled into the river. The start of 80 more years of adventure. His dad sent him to live a summer with an uncle when he became interested in mechanics. There wasn't a vehicle he couldn't fix in his remaining years. He was quite the ladies' man, with numerous girlfriends, romances, and marriages. His last roommate was a female dog named Harley, who is now the neighborhood dog. His greatest sorrow was losing his beloved son, Andrew, in an accident. He made many friends in the racing industry, being a mechanic as well as neighbors he enjoyed in Mount Holly. He served as a sergeant in the Army for 3 years in Germany. Regards to his sister Carol. In memory of Joda. She was a wonderful daughter, wife, mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, pastor's wife, and friend. She spent 70 amazing years with Huey, the love of her life. Her talents were too many to mention here. She was diagnosed with MS in her early 40s, and her body gradually failed her, such that, by the time of her death, at nearly 90 years old, she was quadriplegic. But that was not what you noticed about her. What everyone saw was her joyful and welcoming spirit, her sense of humor, her sharp mind, and her desire to be right in the middle of everything. She signed up to leave her body to science in the 1980s, hoping that she could make a difference for others diagnosed with a debilitating illness. She never complained, and she wrung every ounce of life out of the body she was given. She doesn't need it anymore. She's dancing with Huey. In memory of Helen. Helen loved God and her family most of all. She spent her life helping her family and her community, volunteering at her church, Hospice of the Piedmont, the Father's Table, West End Ministries, Habitat for Humanity, Randolph County Home Extension Club, and many other organizations. She was on the committee, maybe chairperson, at our church that hired Nito Quabine to be our youth fellowship leader around 1969 or 1970, when he was a student at High Point College. She made a huge impact on many people in her almost 103 years on this earth. In memory of Christian. In loving memory of my husband, Christian. If you had lived in Chris's life, you would have been inspired and happier for that opportunity. Chris was a handsome, 6'2", 180-pound exceptional athlete and intellectual giant. The Dean of Engineering at the University of Alberta was so impressed that he gave Chris his first engineering job as the resident engineer on 2 bridges that his company was building over the Teslin River in the Yukon. This was after his 3rd year at the university. He loved to recount his story of self-preservation. While working on the steel structure that towered over the raging Teslin River, he didn't fall off or drop the transit despite being painfully and repeatedly stung by a wayward hornet that had crawled up his pant leg. He must have done a good job, as the dean asked him in his 4th year, just before graduation, to be the resident engineer on the BC Telephone building being built in Vancouver. Upon completion, it would be one of the tallest buildings at that time. However, Chris declined, as he didn't want to be in almost constant rainy weather conditions at the coast. As a successful consulting engineer, he never had a problem he couldn't solve and give it a working solution to repair. In Chris's company, he monitored many young engineers to go out on their own from his guidance and succeed as ethical engineers. Chris was always kind and generous with his time, energy, and many skills. He was capable of building almost anything: decks, furniture, interior improvements that would challenge even the best of carpenters. His friends got lots of help with their projects. He grew up loving animals, and his first dog, Jerry, was a sled dog as they were in northern Hudson Bay. His father was a talented mining engineer, and Chris inherited his creativity and wealth of valuable mechanical and engineering skills. Animals, both wild and domestic, were attracted to Chris. Chickadees would land on his cap when he was in our forest. A red-winged blackbird would fly into the yard when he called. And even hiking in Colorado, he held out his hand, and a whiskey jack came flying in and landed on his palm. Chris turned his admiration for beauty to collecting art and sculptures wherever he traveled, and their home is beautifully decorated with many of these treasure works of art. Chris had a sense of humor that created fun for everyone. At Christmas, you might find a small box with a string attached and instructions to follow it. That would take you to some place in a closet or under a bed to find a wonderful gift. There was always some fun in finding your gift. It might be a bicycle stashed in the woods with your name on it, to be found where he knew you would be walking or cutting brush. As an athlete, Chris played commercial basketball while in high school. He rowed for the University of British Columbia, and he earned a Level 3 professional ski instructor certificate over the years of snow skiing. He won many tennis trophies at a high level. He is honored by an international sport known as orienteering, a sport in which competitors run as best as they can to find features on a map, using a compass in the forest to find that feature. Races are usually 10 kilometers for men. He was inducted into the Canadian Orienteering Hall of Fame for his enormous contribution of setting up clubs and making maps for the races. When he retired, he worked full-time as a professional ski instructor. He was voted Ski Instructor of the Year at Stowe Mountain Resort. Chris hiked for pleasure and wilderness adventure. It was his therapy. He hiked the Grand Canyon from North Rim to South Rim, hiked in Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona, as well as the Green Mountains where he lived. A longtime friend, John Disley, an outstanding Olympic champion athlete, known widely for starting the London Marathon, had Chris climb the Snowdon Mountain in Wales, where the Hillary Everest climbers trained on the chutes and cockcombs, which was the scariest crossing at high altitude, with death certain should a climber misstep, because there was a 1,000-foot sheer drop on the other side. His motivation in these enormous hiking adventures was never to bag mountains, but rather to savor and enjoy the challenge of trying something never done before. For example, he and a friend who owned an airplane took on the challenge of hiking the 3 highest peaks in New England, and to do all 3 in one day. They flew to Maine and hiked Katahdin. They flew to New Hampshire and hiked Mount Washington, and then flew to Stowe and completed the Vermont Mount Mansfield hike in just under 24 hours, all in a day's work. At age 20, he met a beautiful, astute, athletically accomplished, and similarly energetic young lady, Patricia, that he would spend the next 72 years with. They enjoyed a blessed, wonderful, almost 69 years of marriage. He and she loved each other unconditionally and cherished their mutual bond and steadfast commitment to each other. When Parkinson's disease took his balance and falls took his legs, he never complained or said, "Why me?" He always had hope that God, science, and time would restore his health. He was right in that a report from Switzerland had a patient receive a spinal implant that restored his balance to walk and his ability to climb stairs. So it was in time for that Swiss patient, but not in time, sadly, for Chris. In memory of Gerald. Gerald, aged 90, passed away June 26th. He was a man of faith, devoted to his family, and always had a positive outlook on life. He was born in Siler City, North Carolina. Gerald was preceded in death by the love of his life, Esta, his brother Dalton, and sister Betty Lou. He is survived by 2 daughters, Robin and Janice, Spencer, many nieces and nephews,
and scores of dear friends who all surely miss him. As a teen, Gerald loved playing jokes on people and getting into mischief. He worked in a cotton mill while in high school, followed by a job at a local petticoat factory. Gerald joined the Army, and his antics got him into trouble more than once. His experiences matured him, and Gerald was honorably discharged. He returned back to Siler City for his father's funeral, and there he met the love of his life, Esta. Saved by God at Love's Creek Baptist Church, Gerald's life took a turn. He married Esta and secured a job at Western Electric. They moved to Greensboro, North Carolina, and he taught Sunday school at Proximity United Methodist Church before transferring to Mount Pisgah United Methodist Church, where he served in Methodist men. Gerald started working a job with IBM. He was promoted to manager and had so many ideas that they started the All Ideas Matter program. He was also a Toastmaster, Mason, and taught college classes at Guilford Tech Community College. Gerald loved to travel, and weekends were spent with family or in their mountain home. He was on the game show, I Guess, and won a trip of a lifetime to Europe and a new car. He loved animals and once saved a bird that he named Nod, and they were featured by Arlo Lasso on PM Magazine. His dog Buffy was his faithful companion, and he trained her to fetch the newspaper and not leave the yard. He was always fixing things and loved to figure out how things worked. He loved the internet and got his first email address in 1996 on Web TV. He loved to watch how-to videos on YouTube, and he got his favorite saying, his favorite saying became, "Just Google it," or "Hey Siri." For over 25 years, he entertained friends and family with weekly email jokes and memes. He invented many items over the years and was always looking for ways to improve normal everyday chores. At age 89, still unwavering in his faith, Gerald wrote a book about his early life called Cotton Mill Hillbilly. He finished and published it on Amazon a month before he turned 90. He took great pleasure in sharing the book with others and hearing how his story made them laugh, cry, or both. Ever the fixer, Gerald donated his body for advancement of science and education. He told his children he didn't want a funeral, but if anyone asked where he was, to tell them he was in med school, as that was the only way he could get in. He wanted everyone to do something nice and pay it forward whenever they think of me. Heaven gained an angel, and he is at peace now with Esta. Thank you.
Thank you to all the families for providing us with memories and photos of your loved ones. At this time, we will take a brief moment of silence in remembrance of our silent teachers. Thank you for that moment of silence. Next up, we will be honoring our veterans, featuring Colin O'Donnell and the Randolph County Honor Guard.
All right, some heavy stuff there. I kind of feel like putting me on this late, they iced the kicker a little bit, so let's see what I can do. Good evening. My name is Colin O'Donnell. I'm a student in the Physician Assistant Program, class of 2025. I'm also a veteran of the U.S. Army. I was a combat medic in the 173rd Airborne Brigade, and as well as the 82nd Airborne Division, the latter of which I had the fortune to serve a tour in Afghanistan with. Now, I have the fortune to be standing here today making a short address to all of you in honor of the 12 veterans that donated their bodies to the advancement of our medical education. I wish I could say that this was my idea, but in true military fashion, I was voluntold by my classmate Desi here. And, she helped arrange all this, so I guess she would have made a great military officer. Now, I wanted to start this speech with a Latin phrase that's written above a doorway in our gross anatomy lab and says, Mortui vivos docent, which means the dead teach the living. Of course, after I Google translated this, it seemed like an incredibly poignant and powerful way to summarize our experiences here in cadaveric dissection. However, I was sure that if I messed up the pronunciation or the history of it, that our anatomy professor, Dr. Pampush, would have me on one of those tables next year. So even now, I'm sure he will, at least give me a look of stern disappointment or trip me as I pass his room. I'm just hoping it's too late for him to change my grade. Instead, I would rather give you a quote from a language I'm more familiar with. The late great boxer Muhammad Ali once said, "Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth." Now, I'm going to ignore the fact that Ali was a conscientious objector in the Vietnam War, and I'm talking about veterans, but I thought that this quote was extra special for this occasion because these 12 individuals that we honor today live lives full of service to others, the magnitude of which only their loved ones and those that they served can understand. In fact, not only did they choose to serve their country and those around them in life, but they once again chose to serve others by sacrificing their bodies so that we may learn to serve the lives of people that they've likely never even met. I would venture to say that this type of selflessness from these individuals does not come as a surprise to those that knew them. For that, I would like to say thank you to them from all of us. Thank you for your service, and to the family present today, we hope that we have honored your loved ones well. Now, I had like 3 more quotes that I wanted to give you guys today, but instead I'm going to go ahead and give up the stage. I would like to introduce the Randolph County Honor Guard out of Asheboro, North Carolina, which is an organization that is comprised entirely of honorably discharged veterans. And it provides deceased veterans with the honors that they have so valiantly earned. These guys perform a couple hundred of these services a year on a completely volunteer basis without charge. But if you'd like to donate to them, their information is listed on their website at randolphcountyhonorguard.com. Thank you for your time and have a wonderful evening.
Now we will have a student reflection by Miss Alexis Heath.
Good evening, y'all. I am Alexis Heath, and I'll be speaking as a vocal. I am a current student of physical therapy here at High Point. I just wanted to share a few words about my experience in the anatomy lab. In 2019, I started at High Point University for my undergrad degree, and then I decided to stay to get my doctorate. While here, I'm grateful that I had the privilege to spend 2 semesters in the anatomy lab with 2 different science teachers. The first time was at my junior year of undergrad. Sorry, I was crying just then. The first time was during my junior year of undergrad, when I had the opportunity to take advanced anatomy. This class is best described as taking a graduate level anatomy class without that session, but top for undergrads. Because of this class, I had the opportunity to dissect oral than I thought I would, and was able to experience what a grad school class could be. This prepared me not only mentally for what the future might hold, but also educationally by deepening my knowledge of the human body and my ability to share with others. My second time in the lab was this past summer during my first semester of PT school. Because of my previous experience, I felt more prepared and confident when starting anatomy, not only during the class without that session, but also while studying outside the class in the lab. Because of my experience, I was able to see different but unique structures within multiple donors that might be considered atypical or real. This reinforces the idea that everyone is different but also unique, and I am able to take that knowledge into the future in my practice. Finally, because of the confidence I gained in undergrad, I was able to help some of my classmates in and outside the lab. While it was finding or identifying various structures within our donors, or trying to make sense of how everything in the body interacts and ties in together. I'm so grateful that I had these experiences, and I'll continue to carry them with me. I'm so thankful for all science teachers and that they decided to share with us all their experiences. And I'm grateful that I'm able to honor both of my science teachers. Thank you.
Next, we will have a faculty reflection from Dr. Brett Pexa.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Brett Pexa. I'm with the Department of Athletic Training here at High Point University. And when I was trying to figure out what to put in this speech, I just couldn't quite find the words to say thank you. Our silent teachers have been here with us for so long. You know, they've been there for our students and faculty every day, providing instruction, answers, and at times, even more questions. But as they have given so much to us, I feel the need to and do my best to say thank you. So here goes. I still remember the day where I hoped students would realize the gift that they had been given. A student was holding one of our silent teacher's brains, identifying structures and marveling at the white and gray matter before them. Despite the immensely powerful structure that they were holding, it was the student's words that impacted this moment. This is him. Students realized that this structure wasn't just a structure. It was years of memories with loved ones spending time together. It was vast amounts of knowledge that had been learned and unlearned. It was a personality that these students would never know, and a personality that will never be known again. This brain was the automatic parts of this human life: heart rate, blood pressure, cardiac output, and hormone regulation. but it was also the deliberate nature of who we are as human beings, caring, thoughtful, giving. It was at this moment that it became clear that this course was not just about anatomy, but it was about what to do with someone who trusted you with their body. A body that was initially thought of as a collection of bones, joints, muscles, and organs quickly became a person who trusted these students to become great clinicians. This moment went just as quickly as it came. Students went back to their studies of the cranial nerves, the spinal cords, and other organs, but that moment stayed with me. At the end of the class that day, after students had left, all I could do was lay my hands on our silent teacher and say thank you. Thank you for your gifts bestowed to these students as they learn the structure of your body. Thank you for your selfless nature in trusting these students to develop skills and gain knowledge. Thank you for all you have done, both while in this physical world and after. Thank you for all the patience that you have helped as these students enter their profession. I hoped that students would realize the gift that they had been given. Anatomy is the beginning step for their professional careers, but a student could often be too distracted to see that. After all, graduate school is difficult. And stress is palpable within these walls during the summer courses. One day, at the end of the course, we completed all that we had for the summer. Students were looking forward to seeing family and friends and taking a small break. I thought that the semester was over, so I turned around to take off my gloves for the end of the year, and something caught my eye. A student laid their hands on our silent teacher, and I heard them say thank you.
Now we will have another student reflection from Sydney and Benjamin.
Hello, my name is Sydney Zarzadius, and I'm a first-year PA student here at High Point University.
My name is Ben Tofoletti, and I'm also a first-year PA student here at High Point University.
I speak for myself and my classmates when I say that words cannot describe how incredibly grateful we are for our time with our silent teachers. This time will without a doubt change the way we care for our patients in more ways than one. For one, having gotten to experience the amazing anatomy of our silent teachers and the way that we did has inevitably given us an invaluable insight into the human body. Our experience with our silent teachers has given us so much more value and context to each and everything we've experienced in PA school so far. This time has very much so changed the lens through which I view the things we've learned in class and will continue to learn throughout our careers. Secondly, this time with our silent teachers has given me a new appreciation for the miracle of life and how we are all formed in such an incredible image. How incredible is it that our bodies all just work the way that they do and how they are all formed so perfectly. I have an even deeper respect for the function of our bodies and feel even more passionate about the profession we are striving for. Our silent teachers have given us the opportunity to learn from them and to teach one another. Our silent teachers have taught my 64 classmates and I invaluable lessons about the human body, and someday I hope we will each be able to teach and help thousands of people. In a roundabout way, or not so roundabout way, our silent teachers will influence thousands of people's lives for the better. Our silent teachers' lessons did not end with us, and they will be with us and the patients we care for. Thank you to our silent teachers and to their loved ones here today for this opportunity.
First things first, I just wanted to echo the words of all my classmates and of all my peers. I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity that we had to learn from all of your family members, our silent teachers. Their sacrifice, their donation meant so much, and it's amazing to see that there's so many willing people to help bring in the next wave of healthcare workers into the world. And SASB High Point's mission is to prepare the world for prepare people for the world that it's going to be, and your family members did just that. Thinking back on the experience, I remember it was our very first day of school, very first day of PA school. It's about 9:30 in the morning. We get done with a great lecture from our professor, and we're going to the lab. And all of us are thinking to ourselves, are we really doing this? You know, when we get in there, we meet our silent teacher for the very first time. And now it's time. It's time to learn. It's time to grow. And it's time to start working. We've now entered the professional field. And I thought to myself, it's truly amazing that our professors trust us to be able to do this the right way. And then I thought, there's also 38 silent teachers that trusted us to do the same exact thing. It's amazing that they put their trust in people that they had never met before, to treat them with both respect and to honor them in everything that we did. It was truly an honor. And I can't speak for every group, but I know that my group, we grew very close to our silent teacher. And it was definitely a sad moment when the day came when we weren't going to get to hang out with them anymore. But I think I speak for everybody that we learned an immense amount of information from them. So many invaluable things that we'll carry with us throughout our career. And anything from how the head bone connects to the neck bone, or about the brachial plexus, or even about the intricacies of the muscles, the nerves, the vasculature, all the bones of the hands, feet, and even our face. It was so amazing to learn all these things. And then when I was given this opportunity to speak, the first thing that came to mind was a parable that we can find in the New Testament, the parable of the talents, if you guys are familiar. It tells the story of a man who gave 3 men some talents or money, and he gave them the mission to go forth and to have gain, to have increase, to make the most out of the talents that they were given. You know, he went away for some time, and when he came back, he asked what they had done with the talents that he gave them. 2 of them brought back, and they had doubled their talents. They had had gain, right? And one, out of fear of losing that one talent that he was given, buried it and didn't do anything, and he had no gain. I like to think that we had so much, we had this great opportunity to give and to gain with the gift that your family members gave to us. And I like to think that if we could speak to them today, they'd be so proud. The same way the man that gave the talents to the 2 that had increase, that he was proud of them. I like to think that your family members would be proud of us. So once again, I'm extremely thankful for their sacrifice and for your sacrifice as well, for allowing us to learn from your family members. Thank you.
Now we will have the poem Footprints in the Sand, read by Hunter Skidmore.
Hi, my name is Hunter Skidmore. I'm a first-year PA student, and today I'll be reading Footprints in the Sand. One night I dreamed I was walking along the beach with the Lord. Many scenes from my life flashed across the sky. In each scene, I noticed footprints in the sand. Sometimes there were 2 sets of footprints. Other times, there were 1 set of footprints. This bothered me because I noticed that during the low periods of my life, when I was suffering from anguish, sorrow, or defeat, I could only see 1 set of footprints. So I said to the Lord, "You promised me, Lord, that if I followed you, you would walk with me always. But I have noticed that during the most trying periods of my life, there have only been 1 set of footprints in the sand. Why, when I needed you most, you have not been there for me?" The Lord replied, "The times when you have seen only 1 set of footprints is when I carried you."
Thank you for that. And now we will have an art reflection by Sam Smith. Her art piece will be located in your program. It is the piece that is meant to be dedicated to our veterans.
Hello. Hi, my name is Samantha Smith, and I am in the physical therapy program. So this drawing is modeled after my own pair of boots that I wear when I go to work for the Air Force National Guard. It felt right since they're worn in, and it just felt more personal to use my own. If you can see, these boots are on the sand facing the ocean, and these donors who have served truly deserve their leave, so they can finally rest. For anyone who may not know what the term taking leave means, it's just like service members taking their vacation. On behalf of me and my classmates, thank you, donors, for volunteering this last selfless mission. Thank you.
Next, we will have our last student reflection by Miss Megan O'Donovan.
Hi, everyone. My name is Megan O'Donovan. I am a student in High Point's Master's in Biomedical Sciences program, and my long-term aspiration is to become a dentist. When I first interviewed for High Point's Master's in Biomedical Sciences program, I was extremely excited to find out there was a hands-on anatomical learning portion to the course. I had had previous experience with plasticized cadavers in undergrad, but had never been offered or exposed to such an incredible experience before. After I matriculated to the program and started participating in the labs, I began asking myself, why would someone ever allow others to use their body for science? What could they possibly get out of this process? As the course and time has progressed, I now think I have my answer. The answer is nothing. They have acted with complete selflessness, allowing others to use their body to lay the foundation of knowledge for what will allow us to move on to bigger and better things, whether we are becoming professors, dentists, pharmacists, neuroscientists, doctors, researchers, or PAs. I think that is a beautiful thing. Whether the donor suffered or watched others suffer from a disease or illness, or if they were simply altruistic in their decision, they have allowed others to use their body to further advancements in science and are leaving an incredible footprint on all of the students in this program and all of those in the future that will be impacted by our students. I just wanted to honor and personally say thank you tonight to not only our donors, but to their friends and families who have helped to shape such an amazing individual. Thank you.
So for the sake of time, we will actually be skipping our last number of Dancing in the Sky and just going straight to closing remarks. I just want to say, speaking from experience of working in the anatomy lab, it was one of the most invigorating and challenging classes that I have taken thus far in our PA curriculum. I think most of my fellow peers can attest that Dr. Pampush definitely taught us anatomy and taught us really different things that I don't think that I would have ever been able to know without the help of our silent teachers. As challenging as he made the course, and as challenging as it was to be able to define anatomical features and be able to work hands-on with a real cadaver, it was one of the most invigorating and great, and I'm so greatly appreciated that I will be able to have this experience and push it to the future, to my future endeavors. I remember hearing that we would have a live anatomy lab at orientation for PA school as well as during our interviews, and it immediately took me by shock to think, oh my goodness, this is like a real person, and ultimately is something that I will remember for the rest of my life and I will never forget. And for that, I think on behalf of everybody that has worked with the silent teachers, if you haven't heard it enough, thank you. So, also in lieu of our appreciation, all of the programs have come together to give you a take-home trinket. Each of the trinkets is a bottle with a message in the inside. Imagine the message is something beautiful and appreciative. And it also has a seashell within the bottle as well to just symbolize all of, our names that were found on the seashells here as well. There are perspective colors that go with the ribbons on your trinkets. So physical therapy's color is a green ribbon. PA is blue. Athletic training is orange, and the biomedical sciences program is purple. And with that, thank you for coming to the Impact Beyond Life service.